Greetings, love warriors. Greetings, love icons. This is Pangea North Star coming to you from my highest timeline. I'm so excited to be with you all tonight. We have a wonderful topic. We have a wonderful topic here tonight on my Tuesday night live, which is attracting love energy. This segment is called Attracting Love Energy, and the topic tonight for attracting love energy is don't be fooled. The rise of the divine feminine will benefit men. Okay, it will benefit men. So we're going to get into this topic tonight. Greetings, everybody coming into the room. I want to give you guys a special welcome tonight. I was not on last week. I was recovering from a trip to Miami for the second annual Conscious Awards. If anybody was there, let me know that you are both here and were there. It was a wonderful, wonderful weekend, a wonderful event, and it was so good to be amongst the tribe. So, just to introduce myself for those who do not know, again, my name is Pangea North Star. I am an energy healer. I am a sound therapist. I do distance Reiki. I am a teacher and energy reader, okay? Intuitive energy reader. Peace, Celeste. Good evening, sister. You guys, we are always on Tuesday nights. We're always on live talking about how to attract love energy, okay? What we're talking about is attracting love of all kinds, okay? So this is friend and family love, right? Humanitarian love, right? Which we just call compassion, as well as romantic love. Greetings, informative butterfly. So we're always talking about attracting love energy, staying in the flow of love energy, keeping our vibrations high so that we can attract more love into our lives, because it is love that allows us to heal ourselves. It is love that allows us to attract abundance of all kinds. It is love that allows us to learn to accept ourselves, which helps us to accept others, right? When we stop judging ourselves, we stop judging others so harshly, right? When we come out of resentment of our own selves, we come out of resentment of others, okay? So love energy is very important. Love energy fuels our universe, okay? Love energy is the energy behind creation and creativity, okay? Greetings, Jit. Hello, brother. So, you guys, tonight, the aspect of attracting love energy we're going to talk about is the rise of the divine feminine and how this will also benefit men, okay? We're going to talk about how this also benefits men's peace, Blue Lotus. This benefits men as well as women, okay? And we're going to talk about exactly what is the rise of the divine feminine, what are the effects of it. We're going to talk a bit about the timeline split, okay, and how this energy is going to be beneficial for all of those who are vibrating high, okay? So the reason, as I stated, my topic is don't be fooled. The rise of the divine feminine will benefit men. And the reason that I made the title this way is because, anytime something good is happening, right now, women are being pushed out front in a way that we have not seen in thousands and thousands of years. Okay, being pushed out front, being celebrated, being liberated, right? And this is in the forefront of everything from politics to sports to entertainment, right? And as we know, when one group is celebrated, right? Other groups may feel left out, right? And there are always those that seek to make the rise of one group appear to be the demise of another group, okay? But because we're talking about divine feminine energy, that is not the case. The rise of divine feminine energy does not mean the demise of masculine energy, okay? We're going to be making some points about that tonight, okay? So as we know, we're always talking about the laws of attraction and using the law of attraction to illustrate our points, right? And we know that we want to stay in the vibration of love energy in order to attract all of the good things, in order to attract our highest timeline, in order to attract the things that we really desire in life, okay? So we want to talk about, how do we need to behave? Where do we need to place our attention in order to benefit from this rise of divine feminine energy, okay? Now, this one is going to get really, really juicy. Really, really juicy. So we're going to start here, you all. I want everyone to know that we don't need to play into the separatist narratives that are coming up around this issue, okay? There's no need for men to feel pushed aside, etched out, to feel misplaced, to feel lost, to feel threatened by women being pushed out front or by women being elevated, okay? So when we take those that have been on the bottom for so long, that have been oppressed and repressed and silenced and abused for so long and begin to elevate this group, it does not mean that now everyone else needs to go to the bottom and shift to the bottom and replace that group at the bottom. When people on the bottom are elevated by divine energy, everyone is elevated, right? As humans, none of us are really free until we are all free, because we are all an extension of source, okay? So to know that women are being elevated after having been oppressed and repressed for so long means that everyone, humanity as a whole, is being elevated. If that's okay with you, give me some hearts in the chat, okay? If that is okay with you, give me some hearts in the chat, okay? Now, what we need to understand first and foremost is the nature of divine feminine energy, right? Thank you for the hearts in the chat. What we need to understand is the nature of divine feminine energy, what this is going to mean for both men and women, okay? Greetings, Brenda. Thank you for joining us. So, what we need to understand, first of all, let's look at the nature of divine feminine energy, okay? The nature of divine feminine energy, and we emphasis on divine, okay? Emphasis on divine. The nature of divine feminine energy is fairness, balance, justice, equity, and unconditional nurturing of a person or a personality to full maturity, to full optimization, okay? Now, these are the qualities that distinguish divine feminine energy from just feminine energy, right? When we think of femininity, we think of softness, we think of gentleness, we think of nurturing, right? But not every person that presents in a soft and gentle way is feminine, right? And not everyone that presents in a soft and gentle way, I should say, is divine, okay? People can softly and gently manipulate, and that is not feminine, right? Manipulating to get your way is not feminine. That is masculine, right? So we need to understand what is femininity and what is divine femininity. Divine femininity is applying your softness, your gentleness, your nurturing, your demonstrative, charismatic magnetism, right? With the qualities of equity, fairness, justness, justice, and balance. Okay? So to demonstrate the application of feminine principles with the utmost of integrity and wisdom, right? We are going to look at the characteristics of the womb, okay? The characteristics of the womb. And we're using this example because we are all, in essence, living in a big womb. The universe is a big womb, okay? If that analogy makes sense to you, give me some hearts in the chat. This universe is constantly producing, ever expanding, and ever producing. We are in a gigantic womb, right? In our consciousness, it is our consciousness that impregnates the womb. And paired with aligned action, we are able to bring forth, to manifest, giving birth to that which we think of, that which we desire. Okay, so we're all living in a big womb. Okay, but we're going to use the womb of a woman as a metaphor to describe the nature of divine feminine energy. Okay, now when we think of the womb of a woman, does the womb of the woman look at the child and say, oh, well, this is a female child, so I'm going to nurture this female child to better health than the male child? I can only, nurture female children to health because, the womb is feminine. Is that how that works? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Right? The nature of the womb is to nurture the male and the female child equally. Equally. So that is integrity, right? It's not about playing favorites, right? The womb makes room for all. Okay, so that's the nature of divine femininity. That is integrity. Okay, now let's talk about wisdom. Why are we throwing wisdom into this? Okay, wisdom is a part of the equation because the womb is the most intelligent and most discerning space on the planet. The womb of the woman, okay? The womb space is the most intelligent space and discerning space on the planet. What is happening in the womb cannot be created anywhere else. Our best scientists are still trying to figure out and understand and even recreate exactly what happens in the womb of a woman over a space of 10 months once she becomes impregnated. Does that make sense to you guys? If so, give me some more hearts in the chat. Okay? Now, when we're talking about wisdom, the womb is very wise. The womb is discerning. Okay? Now, trigger alert. Okay? I'm about to make a statement that could seem harsh, maybe triggering to some, but it is a true statement. So I want us to breathe through this statement. Okay? Now, there are times when the womb analyzes the progress, the growth of a fetus and decides that this fetus is not developing into a viable fetus and ejects the fetus. This is what we in layman's terms would call a miscarriage. But a medical term for miscarriage is spontaneous abortion. spontaneous abortion. Okay, miscarriages are very common, and they are very commonly happening because the fetus is not growing properly. And the womb says, this baby's not gonna make it, or this situation is gonna be dangerous for the mother. We're gonna scrap this and let's try again. Right? We got some confirmations in the chat. Some of us, unfortunately, have experienced this. Okay, personally, firsthand. Okay. Now, this is just part of nature. This happens sometime. Okay. So there is wisdom. There are things that are happening there in the dark. Decisions are being made beyond the veil somewhere. And that's something that we cannot control. We do not have control of that. Okay. Now, this discernment of the divine feminine energy that, hey, something's happening here that's not going to be sustainable. Okay. There's an ejection. There's a separation that must happen. Right. This is why we are also heading towards a timeline split. Okay. How many of you in the chat are familiar with that term, timeline split? Okay. We are coming into what many are calling a timeline split. All right. And if you are someone that is, on your spiritual path, you are being intentional about your spiritual journey, you are already experiencing, you may have noticed that yourself and others who are on this spiritual journey seem to be syncing up. For one, you seem to be syncing up. And for two, you seem to not be as affected by all the madness and the chaos that we're aware of happening in the world. But we somehow don't seem to be as touched by it as others. Okay? So the timeline split that is happening means that there will be a bifurcation of existence. Okay? Where those who are being intentional right now, this is really important. I want everyone to pay attention to this. For those who are intentional about their spiritual ascension right now, and this is all based on where you place your attention, right? Those who are very intentional about their ascension are experiencing a timeline that's over here. We are having synchronous event after synchronous event. Whereas those who are keeping their attention on low vibrational things are experiencing a descension. Okay, so right now, there's not any gray area or any neutral space. The neutral space is getting smaller and smaller and disappearing. But everyone, you are either ascending or descending. You are either ascending or descending right now. Okay, last time I was on live, we talked about vibrational gaps and what that looks like in your personal life. And we're talking about on a global level, vibrational gaps. Okay, give me some hearts in the chat if you can relate to this. If you are on your path of ascension, you're being very intentional about that. You may notice that some people who are like in your field of awareness, they seem to be kind of going down, and you'll even hear from them less and less and less. We're going to still be aware of what's going on with other people in the world who are not experiencing this higher timeline. We'll be aware, but we won't be touched. Our lives won't be touched in the same way theirs are. And there's going to be this split. Okay, so for years and years and years and years, this has been predicted and predicted and expressed in different ways, in different traditions, in different cultures, in different religions. Okay, it's been expressed in different ways, but it's always, kind of future cast and pushed off into the future. That time is now. The timeline split is here now. Okay, so it's very important where you allow your attention to go. be very focused on the things that are going well. Okay. If you are able to sense that there is this suction, this very strong gravitational pull, like this thing that seems to be looming and threatening to pull you down into low vibrational energy, the most important thing you can do is allow your attention to stay with the things that are going well and allow yourself to become grateful. Stay in the vibration of gratitude, okay? So that you are influencing and controlling where you end up in the gravitational split, in the timeline split, okay? Thank you for all the hearts in the chat. I know you guys have been sensing that. Are you guys noticing lots of synchronicities with your spiritual family? Right? Every time you talk to somebody that's also on this path, you're like, man, I can't believe those words just came out of your mouth. Me and my other friend were just talking about this, or I was just thinking about this the other day. Okay? It's not just the Lion's Gate. It's not just the Lion's Gate portal. Right? It's not just that. Don't allow that to have been a passing thing for you. Hopefully everyone on the 8th, which was just the height of the 888 Lion's Gate, is still continuing. But even as that passes, don't allow your attention to go back to the negative. It was very important on that day, and as the Lion's Gate portal finishes out, it's important for us to continue to keep our attention. Is so important. Where are you placing your attention? Because where your attention goes, your energy flows, and we are nothing but energy. So if we want to exist on the highest timeline possible, that is where we need to place our attention. Okay? And this womb, this big womb that we live in, this universe that is ever expanding, right, is going to separate us, and where we land in that separation, where we exist within that separation, will be based on where we have placed our attention. Okay? So I just wanted to use that womb metaphor as my first piece of evidence that it is not the case that the rise of the divine feminine energy means the demise of the masculines, okay? The men, or those who lead with masculine energy. That is not what that means, okay? All of us have divine feminine and divine masculine energy. Well, let me restate that. All of us have feminine and masculine energy. Hopefully, it falls into the category of divine feminine and divine masculine. Now, what the energy that you lead with, right, is your dominant vibration. Okay, so if you consider yourself feminine, or you want to live in feminine energy, it doesn't mean that you don't have any masculine energy, but that you lead with your most natural, your most natural perspective, and the point from which you live and operate in your daily life is divine feminine. Okay, now the other thing I want to say about this that applies to men, and I have some points for women. I'm gonna save that to the end. Okay. Now, the next point that I want men to be aware of is that this also means for men that it is time for nice guys to win. Okay, it is time for the nice guys to win. Why am I saying that? Okay, well, we've all heard that term, well, that nice guys always lose, right? And that may have seemed true for quite some time, okay? But it's time for that to change. The only reason that seemed true, it was so easy for that to appear true, is because men have been trapped in what I like to call a man box for a very long time. The man box. What is the man box? The man box is about being restricted to toxic definitions of masculinity. Okay, men being restricted to toxic definitions of masculinity. Yes, and I see Miss Fortitude in the chat saying, yes, we want nice guys. And that's so true. We want nice guys now, right? I know I want a nice guy. I want I want loving and caring men in my life. And I find that now that I no longer buy into the ideals of toxic masculinity, that is what is appearing in my life. My life is full of men that have nurturing energy about them. And I still see those men struggling to find a representation of men of masculinity that includes being able to express your nurturing and loving nature. So many men are pioneering in that field now. Someone says, give them my number. I hear you, right? We want nice guys. We're no longer brainwashed into thinking that only violent men, boastful men, forceful men are manly. That's total crap. That's a lie, right? And we can see that now because the energy is here now to support that. The energy is now here on the planet to support men leading with their divine feminine energy. Okay, whereas in the past, there was only room for men to express about 3 or 4 emotions: angry, horny, hungry, and brave. Okay, I'm gonna say that again: angry, horny, hungry, and by hungry I mean ambitious, right? Or brave. If this makes sense, give me some hearts in the chat if this resonates. Anything expressed outside of that by men was, cause for his masculinity or his sexuality to be questioned. And that is crazy. That is crazy, oppressive, emotional imprisonment. It's disgusting. It's inappropriate. And it's over. What a hellish existence that has been for men. And God bless anybody caught in the path of a man, stressed out and breaking out of or suffering from being trapped in that man box. No wonder men have been known to erupt in such violence. When someone tells you you can't have any real emotions, your emotions are not real. If you have emotions, you better shut them down and shut them up and keep it quiet. That's crazy. That is absolutely nuts. Okay? That is absolutely nuts. It's wrong, and it is a form of oppression. But thank God that because of where we are now, the area of the galaxy that the Earth has now traveled into, the alignment of our planets, the energy is now here to support men leaning into their divine feminine nature, right? Leading with their divine feminine energy, okay? And balancing that with divine masculine energy, right? Men displaying divine masculine energy, being in balance with divine feminine energy. Divine feminine, divine masculine mirror each other. They mirror each other. A man who is in his divine masculine energy is going to be nurturing. He's going to nurture his children, right? He's going to be caring for his children. He's going to love his children. He can tell his children, I love you. He can tell his sons, I love you, right? He can be affectionate and nurturing, and does not have to be forceful in order to lead. He is an example, and he leads by example. Okay? And is able to create a nurturing space for his loved ones. Okay? That is totally fine. And it does not mean that he's being, anything less than masculine. Okay? We're not going to go there with the crazy, relegating people to these really strict margins. That's crazy. Greetings, Zena Electra. Thank you for joining us. So there's no need for men to feel that they are displaced, or that they are, that we are trying to feminize them because of the rise of divine feminine energy on our planet. Okay? One thing we have to understand, as I stated a moment ago, divine feminine energy and divine masculine energy mirror each other. Okay? Now, when we think of femininity, we think of the softness, the gentleness. We think of nurturing, loving energy that is magnetic and that leads by example and demonstrates the right things to do rather than trying to force someone into doing a certain thing. But tell me what's different about that from masculine energy, from divine masculine energy. The divine masculine energy is also gentle, is also nurturing, also leads by example, and does not need to force anyone to do anything. Okay? Now, we always think of, bringing order and making rules and enforcing policy when we think of divine masculinity, right? But divine masculinity must also nurture and consider what is best for the humanity, must be able to address the humanity of those that they lead. You cannot effectively lead humans without considering their humanity. It's not possible, right? So we think our brains are trained to think in terms of masculine and feminine, but there's not much difference. As we spoke about earlier, using the womb of a woman, using that metaphor and demonstrating how that womb is the most intelligent and discerning space on the planet. Is that not the enforcement of a law when the womb determines that this child is not developing properly? The environment of the womb right now is not hospitable. The level of health of the woman is not hospitable to the development of this child, and ejects the child, either because the child is not developing into a viable fetus or the mother's health is in danger. That's a hard decision to be made. Is that not enforcing a law? The law of love? This child's not going to have a quality life, so we're going to eject this fetus, or this mother would lose her life trying to support this fetus. We're going to end this pregnancy and we can try again later. That's a difficult choice. That is a difficult decision that the womb, the ultimate feminine energy, enforces naturally. That's the enforcement of law, which we are trained by society to think of as masculinity. But divine feminine energy must lay down the law as well. So we have to begin to realize the similarities and focus on the similarities in divine feminine and divine masculine energy, because the separation of the two is merely an illusion. The separation of divine energy into masculine and feminine is the first layer of the illusion of separation. This is the first layer of the illusion of separation that we all agreed to come here and experience. It is an illusion. As humans, we all have the same need for nurturing, for compassion. We all have this need to be here together, experiencing love energy, lifting one another up. We have way more similarities than we have differences. Okay? Our differences are very, very little. And even our differences, quote unquote, mirror each other. Okay? So we're not going to go too deep into that because we're limited on time. All right? But if this is making sense to y'all, give me some hearts. Give me some hearts in the chat. Give me some hearts in the chat as we move on. If you have questions, please ask questions. Yes, I see that comment. The soul stays with the mom. Yes. Yes, when there is a soul, that soul stays with the mom. Many, many mothers have experienced that. Right? Now, last point that I have planned to make is this. What does this mean for women, the rise of the divine feminine energy? And how do we ensure that we are on the right side of things, right? That we are living in the divinity of this divine feminine energy, okay? As I stated earlier, certain forces will use anything, will try to use anything to bring division, right? To be divisive and to pit one group of people against another, okay? It's very important that as women are being celebrated, as women are being elevated, as women are being pushed to the forefront in everything from high level politics to sports to entertainment to the business world, right? It is important that we redefine the way that leadership is enacted. Okay? It's very important that we do not seek to lead in the same ways that toxic masculinity has led. Right? We do not need to seek to imitate the ways that toxic masculinity has ruled. Okay? Just because you're on top, it doesn't mean that you need to push anybody to the bottom. You do not need to now seek to keep your foot on anybody's neck. Okay? Give me some hearts in the chat if this makes sense. Perfect example, I was in a meeting the other day with my virtual assistant, and I said to her, you know what? I think we're kind of being harsh on ourselves about the way that we are flexible in how we do our work. There are times when I will message her or she'll message me and say, hey, this has come up. Is it convenient for you if we slide the time of our meeting just a little bit? And we work in a very flexible flow, right? It's not this, must do this, must do that, yada, 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 very fast paced, very harsh. If we don't meet, do this thing at this time, that means we're failing, right? If you're not first, you're last. We don't work like that. We're not keeping this, grind till I die. I'll sleep when I die, hustle mentality with our work. It's very important that we don't have that type of flow, right? As we are creating, right? I see you, Blue Lotus. It's important that we don't try to maintain that type of energy and that type of flow, and that we don't, let that be our ideal of success. That is no longer necessary, okay? We do not have to work hard. Those who, do business with me, Those who are students, those who are close friends and business associates know that I try to avoid even the word WORK. I like to say I am connecting, I am facilitating, I am demonstrating, I am welcoming clients today. I'm connecting with people today, right? I try not to say that word because the word work carries the same vibration as the word war. War. Think about it. War is fighting against an opposing force. If anything is work for you, something that you consider work, like working out, for example, not just your, business work that you do to make a living, but work is not work unless you are pushing against an opposing force. Even if that opposing force is a deadline, right? So that is the same vibration as the word war. There's struggle involved. There's a heaviness there. There's a harshness there. There is oppression there in that word, in the vibration of that word. So we need to be conscious of how we do what we came here to do. Okay? It doesn't have to feel like work. Okay? How we live out our mission, how we fulfill our purpose, right? How we live in our gifts. See all these different ways that you can think of it instead of work. And it's easy to think of those things if you are here doing what you came here to do and not just working for somebody else to bring their dream to fruition, right? We must find ways to allow our dreams and our goals and the things that bring us joy to be at the forefront of our lives. That is the only way. That is the only way to make yourself the star player of your own life. That's the only way you're in the driver's seat of your own life, right? You should be the star of your own movie. You should be the lead role in your own life, right? Somebody says, I love your shirt. Thank you. I love this shirt too. I probably wear it way too often. But yeah, it's very important that we are following our joy in this time, right? How are you going to keep your attention on what's going well? How are you going to keep your attention on those high vibrational things if you are not following your joy? And coming out of this old, denseness that was here, this old dense vibration that was here is tantamount to following your dreams, following your joy, following the feeling, your internal experiences of love, right? I know I was raised hearing that, you got to work hard and, it's going to be hard. And you're going to have to work harder than everybody else. And, you got to prove this and prove that, because of sexism and because of racism and classism and all the isms, right? And that's where the focus was. And that was the expectation that was set for me. And I was told that it didn't matter how I felt. I had to do what I had to do. It's so harsh. It's so low vibrational. It's so dense, right? It does not have to be that way. The energy is here now to support you following your joy. So if you've lost contact with your joy, with your desires and your dreams and goals in life, I'm encouraging you to reconnect. We do need to pay attention to our feelings. We do. We need to prioritize things that make us feel, that bring back the sense of being in unity with Source. And if anyone has any questions you want to throw into the chat now, I'll answer questions. Please let me know if there's something about this that brings up questions for you guys. What do you guys think about this? Thank you so much for all the support, all the charts, all the hearts in the chat. But this is super important that we as women don't go, oh, ha, don't be sitting there thinking, oh, we're gonna get these men. It's our turn now. We're gonna do you in, and we're gonna do y'all like y'all did us. No, that's not divine feminine energy. It's not divine or feminine, right? That's not the way to do things. And if you find yourself feeling that way, like, oh, now that I have some power, I'm feeling emboldened by the way I see women winning, I'm going to do this or do that to, make somebody else feel like I felt when I was on the bottom. That is not the way. I encourage you to examine those areas of your life and begin to heal those timelines for yourself. Use whatever resources are available to you. Keep following this channel for sure. Go ahead and like and subscribe, right? Because we're always talking about healing and attracting love energy. So as we get into or begin to wind down or wrap up our talk about how the rise of the divine feminine is also benefiting men, right? And how we as women can stay in that energy of divine feminine. Thank you for that comment. We got a comment that says, everything you're mentioning on this live is helping me to see how unaligned am I feminine and masculine, to see how I'm unaligned am I feminine and masculine. Yes. That's what we need to be examining within ourselves. So I was just about to get into corresponding chakra blockages. We do this every week. If you are feeling, if you are a woman that is feeling that, it's time for me to get my revenge, if you're holding some resentment toward men, and I talked about this on my video, my live a few weeks back. It's called Decenter Men or Recenter Love. Okay. That, there's this movement out here called Decenter Men that is about women, disconnecting from relationships with men. And, it's wonderful. It is wonderful that women who at one point did not feel valid or like a whole human without a man are now beginning to reverse that and to heal that. And if it takes some time of separation for you to relearn how to be in connection with or in relationship with a man in a healthy way, if it takes some time for you to be by yourself to do that, more power to you. That is okay. It is okay. Do not judge yourself for that, okay? But I also want to encourage you not to stay there. You do not have to stay there, okay? Because a world without men, even if it's just your own individual world, your existence without men will become unbalanced, okay? And this is for everyone. It doesn't matter what your sexuality is, what your preferences are. We're all here for a reason, right? This universe is for all of us. We're all useful. We all have a purpose, okay? And your sacral chakra energy will be out of balance, okay? Without having both masculine and feminine energies in your life, okay? There's no reason to completely disconnect from men for women and stay there. Okay, and there's no reason for men to completely disconnect from women and stay there. If you can't come out of that space, that means you're still holding some resentment. That means you're still feeling threatened. You're still feeling hurt. Okay? There must be a point of re-entry. There must be a re-entry plan. Okay? Because it's not realistic and it's not balanced to just build your world only full of women. Okay? And this is something I preach to myself as well and practice in my own life, because my life is very much full of women. So I have to be intentional about keeping friendships and relationships, family relationships, connected family relationships with men in my life. Because so many of my clients are women. In my energy healing practice, I'm incorporating men, right? One-on-one, I'm incorporating men. Soon I will have classes incorporating more men, right? Those have been geared toward women in the past, and Spirit's been speaking to me, hey, who in the heck are you preparing these women for if men aren't being prepared too? This is very important. Men need to be welcomed into healing spaces if we want to see healed men. Duh, duh, duh. Okay, we gotta move beyond that. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Zena. Awesome. Shout out to the homie. But men have to be welcome in these spaces too, right? We can't always do everything just to benefit the women. That's imbalanced. Who you gonna partner with and who you gonna pair with if there aren't healed men? How are you gonna have compassion towards your son if you don't have compassion towards men? If you are sitting in unforgiveness toward men as a group, how are you going to treat your son? Right? How are you going to be a loving mother to your sons? If you hold hate in your heart for men while you're raising a son, your son can sense that. And you are teaching your son subliminally to hate himself as a man. That's going to creep out in little ways, and your son will feel it. He will feel it. Okay? So I want everyone to reflect on that. Sacral chakra energy is often discussed just as like the womb space, because physically for women in that space sits the womb. But this energy is also very viable and very real for men. Men have sacral chakra energy as well. And it takes men learning how to tap in to their divine feminine energy, that nurturing, loving part of themselves, that sensual part of themselves. Come on, women. Ladies, y'all don't want your man to be sensual? You lying. You lying. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because when you're saying to your man, well, why don't you talk to me? You don't talk to me. You don't share your feelings. Well, that's not only throat chakra energy. You're talking about communicating, you wanting your man to communicate from a space that lets you know he can feel you, that he can feel and acknowledge your emotions, that he empathizes with you, right? That's sacral chakra energy. Okay? So we have to welcome our men into this divine feminine energy, into this space. It is for them as well. Okay? This is very, very important. This is why our world is so out of balance. Someone has a question. Please ask your question concerning this. How do we come back from that, or at least start? Is this, if I feel like this question is referring to the what I said about the men, resentment toward men and raising the sons. Let me know if that is what you are referring to. Coming out of the resentment for men. Is that what you're referring to with this question? Okay, yes. So the first thing we have to understand, a lot of our anger towards men is about disappointment. Okay, majority of the disappointment that we experience with men is caused by us comparing them to this ideal in our mind, this Superman type of figure that we've been told men are supposed to measure up to. Okay, he's supposed to always have the answers. He ain't never afraid. He's always got a pocket full of money. You know, he's always strong. He's always brave. He don't never need nothing. He's always giving, right? He's always there right when we need him. He's the superhero type of figure, right? That's what we've been told. We've been conditioned to imagine, a good man. He's rich. He's got muscles. It's like, oh, he knows how to protect you and fight for you and be however, snuggly and gentle and cuddly you need him to be too. He's all the things. Rather than being human, there's no space there for him to be human. There's no space for him to need to cry on our shoulder sometime and express feeling lost or being in despair, right? And in real life, this is what men are experiencing. Not having the answers, not being sure what to do, and feeling like they're being weak if they express that. What if he doesn't always have money? So we have to start with, first of all, recognizing that image that we've been given is a lie. It's a lie. These ideals we've been given of a good man being, perfect in every way, always strong, always brave, never scared, never lost. That's a lie. Just like all these false ideals we've been given of women, always being a martyr, always putting herself on the back burner, that everything you hear, every time you hear a statement about a good woman, it's followed up with something about her sacrificing herself. That's a lie. We've got to recognize these lies, okay? And it is okay to be angry at the lie, but it is not okay to be angry at the men as a group, because they have also been lied to. They have been lied to. They've been subjected to this same lie. And I talk about often how I was raised seeing my big brother get punched in the chest. Don't cry. Boys don't cry. Men don't cry. Stop acting like a girl. You better protect your sister. And when dad's away, you're the man of the house. And my brother was like 9. He was definitely a child and not given space to have his feelings. If I got hurt and I fell down and busted my knee, which I often did because I was a tomboy, I was out here, fighting and riding dirt bikes and doing all the things he was doing. But if I hurt myself, I would get all the sympathy, all the empathy, and get cleaned up and get all the, Band-Aids and kisses and, oh, it's okay, But my brother, if he, got hurt, it's be a man, toughen up. Don't cry, And if I got hurt in his presence, if anybody did anything to me while he was there, he'd be in trouble for that. It didn't matter if it was somebody bigger than both of us. He was expected to be brave and be strong and fight them, even if he got dusted. Even if he got beat up, trying to defend me. He was supposed to be ready to fight anybody at any time to protect his little sister. I now recognize that my brother was scared, but he was trying his best to protect his little sister because he was told that's what a man does. Okay? So these archetypes, stereotypes that have been set forth for us are entangled with falsehood. So the first step is to recognize that these things are falsehood, that they are false, and that we need to reject the lie without rejecting the man. Okay, there's a human inside of that hard outer exterior. Okay, just like there's a whole human inside this soft and luscious, juicy exterior that we have. We want to be treated like whole humans, right? We want to be free to express a full scope of emotions, right? We want to be free to express our full emotional landscape without being called crazy and erratic, right? Oh, women are so crazy. You know, that's the stereotype. Oh, she crazy. When a woman becomes emotional and expresses frustration, oh, she crazy. My baby mama's crazy, right? It's always that she's crazy. She's hysterical, is what they would say. Do you guys know the term hysterectomy? Think about that, hysterectomy, because hysterectomy is the removal of a woman's uterus, is what a hysterectomy is, the surgery, for those who don't know, most of the men may not know. The surgery that removes a woman's uterus is called a hysterectomy. Why is it not called a uterusectomy? It's because originally those surgeries were being performed because it was supposed to prevent women from being hysterical. If you were, expressing too much, you were talking too much, and you had too much lip, your husband could say you're crazy and have your uterus removed. Did you know that? So just, the female organs were associated with hysteria, right? That's a woman box. So if we think that's unfair for us to be relegated to that box, why is it okay for us to do it to men? We must learn to make room for men's emotions. If we want men to evolve, we must make room for their ascension. Okay? So in a so-called woman's world, where we're experiencing this rise of the divine feminine, there must be space for men. There must be space for the divine masculine. It is up to us to let men know that yes, we still recognize your masculinity in this space when you show up, allowing yourself to be a kind, nurturing, compassionate man. Okay? I hope that helped to answer the question about healing also. Healing resentment towards men. Ask yourself, are you comparing him to this false ideal of manhood, this toxic ideal of manhood? Are you relegating men to the man box? Go back and think about the instances in your life that have caused you to become angry with men and disappointed with men. If you're disappointed, something means there was some expectation there. Was that expectation a realistic expectation based on, whatever characteristic you were expecting that man to display? Who taught him that? Who would have ever taught him that? Who would have taught him to be that leader, that protector, that provider, or even just that listening ear that you were needing? Okay? Because none of us are truly self-made. Even that is like a illusion, a figment of the ego. Okay? Are there any more questions? If there's a question, go ahead and ask the question really quickly because we're wrapping up here. If not, if this was good, if this was juicy, if this was fire, if this resonated, if this was loving, if this was compassionate, if this hit tonight, give me some hearts in the chat. I want to thank y'all so much for joining me. I want to encourage y'all to like, subscribe. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for that encouragement in the chat. I want to encourage you all to join me every Tuesday night. I'm here live. Follow me also under the same name, Pangea North Star, on Instagram. I also have an OnlyFans page, you guys, now that I'm building, where I'm going to be doing more. I can do a little bit more free expression there. So I'm going to leave that at that. I can do a little bit more free expression there and have less censoring there. So I encourage you guys to follow my OnlyFans page, and I will add that link here in the comments as well. So I encourage you guys to subscribe there as well. Thank you guys for all the encouragement. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't see any more questions popping up, so I'm going to go ahead and close out. But thank y'all for joining me again for another Attracting Love Energy. Make sure you place your attention on the things that are going well so that you can land on the highest timeline in this timeline split that we are experiencing now. So this is Pangea North Star. I'm signing out from my highest timeline. Peace, peace and love. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Good night.